A great question today for Ask Father Carlson, and one that made me do some research. And the question comes in, and it goes something like this. It goes, relics. What's the deal with relics? I can see having a swatch of saint's habit or a lock of hair, but a piece of bone. Well, first and foremost, there's three different types of relics. The first class type of relic is a piece of hair or bone. A second class relic would be something that the saint used every day, maybe a habit, or that they used often. A third class relic is something that has actually touched a first class relic. So there you go. Not even in the question, but we answered it anyways. But what's the deal with relics and how can we use them? Well, let's just use an example of a second class relic real quick. Maybe someone has a second class relic of a saint, and what that does, of course, is it inspires them to think about that saint and all the great work that they did. Maybe they have a piece of habit of St. Francis Assisi. So it's out there, I guess. What they're called to do, of course, is to think about St. Francis Assisi and to inspire them to, as well, give their life just like he did at the service of God. And that's the important thing to remember. Relics are they're not worship of the saint. We don't worship saints, right? We don't. We venerate them, which is different than worship. We worship God alone. This veneration is helping us to aspire to be like them, who in turn we're trying to be like God, to be like Christ. And also it should inspire us to ask for their prayers. So it calls to mind their life. You know, even in our own day and age, we may have second-class relics. Now, not of saints per se, maybe, hopefully, right? But maybe you know someone that's gone before you. Maybe it's your grandma or your mom or your dad, whatever, and you get to hold on to some of the things. Every single time you see, let's say, a statue of that person. Let's just make it St. Francis. We're sticking with that theme today. Let's make it St. Francis. You see a statue of St. Francis that maybe your grandma had. What's that going to do? Well, it's going to inspire you to think first and foremost about probably your grandma and then St. Francis and then God. Beautiful, right? But maybe it's not even holy. Maybe it's just something like you hold on to your loved one's, I don't know, her purse. Sure. All right? And whenever you see that purse, it reminds you of her, not a saint. All right, but a second-class relic of a saint, that's going to inspire you, hopefully, to remind you of that saint, who in turn reminds you to be better. So that's a second-class relic. Third-class relics, no one really need to explain that too much, but a first-class relic, you know, bones. You know, almost every single altar around the world, as a matter of fact, for Catholics, has relics inside. If you hear at St. Ambrose, we have a reliquary underneath the altar. I'm not sure what saints or what relics we have underneath there. It'd be a great question to have for you. So if you know the answer, email me and I'll update this video, or at least update the blog post of it. But even St. Peter's Basilica, underneath the altar of St. Peter's Basilica, and the catacombs underneath there, do you know who's buried there? You got it, St. Peter. Beautiful, right? A beautiful thing. These catacombs of saints, and so these altars are built on top of the bones of the saints. Not because, once again, the saints bring us glory or the saints bring us miracles per se. Through their intercession, they do. And that's the difference, right? These intercession. Also, just real quick, there's even scriptural references to this. Even in the Old Testament, if you want to look it up, 2 Kings 2, 9 through 14, they were going to bury someone, and they somehow touched the bones of Elisha, and this person was miraculously healed. It wasn't because Elisha healed them, it was because God healed them, but Elisha's sacredness, his holiness, even though he was dead, right? We look at some of the saints. My patron saint, St. John Vianney, his body is incorruptible. There's something that should be venerated there, right? Not that he is God. No, rather that is something sacred. If they're with God, it means that when they're here on earth, they too were sacred. I know it can be very, very confusing to venerate maybe a bone and a little strange, but it's also beautiful, because what the relics are called to do is they're called to inspire us, to remind us of the holiness of the saint and his or her cooperation with God's work, and at the same time, relics inspire us to ask for the prayers of that saint, to beg the grace of God to live in the same kind of faith-filled life. I could go on forever with this, and maybe I'll do a second follow-up question more about relics, but hopefully this answers your question a little bit more of why bones. So the first class relics, second class relics, and third class relics. And please do keep your questions coming here for Ask Father Carlson. I need them. They're good. I get to research stuff, and isn't that beautiful? All right, have a good week. God bless. Bye.